children by our pro-life law in the state of Georgia. We don't leave any behind. And I think I remember a story the Lord told about something to that effect. Leaving behind the 99 and going and saving the one. Well, we have saved the one as well. It can be done. And other states are now involved in that same thing. Even our opponents, and I love some of our opponents' quote. This is from Planned Parenthood of Georgia. Is Georgia Right to Life the new shadow government under the gold dome? Well, that's our opponents describing us. So I don't want to overstate our goals and achievements. But this next, anybody want to tell me up in the upper left-hand corner, can you see the date on that front page news article? When's the date? Friday. This is Friday's front page of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Georgia limits abortion coverage. Health plan would pay for procedure only when mother's life is in danger. Georgia's move to eliminate coverage for all abortions except those that endanger the life of the mother puts it at the end of the spectrum, said Sharon Levine, Director of Federal Reproductive Health Policy for the National Women's Law Center, a reproductive rights group. Other states allow for coverage in cases of rape and incest. In the area of state taxpayer dollars being used for state employees, we're the only state in the nation that can make that claim. Now, we've achieved, we continue to achieve. I met with the governor on Monday, and this came out on Friday.
Is that why Newt Gingrich converted to Catholicism?
Goes on to say in the article, critics argue the change creates more obstacles for women in a state whose abortion laws already are some of the most restrictive in the nation. 12 years. 12 years is what it took, starting from nothing to where today 68% of our Georgia Senate is life of the mother only. Pro-personhood amendment to our state constitution. 41% of our House. When you throw in all those, quote, pro-lifers that we try to get unelected in the primary, they are our opponents. Pro-life with rape and incest exceptions are the ones we run against in Georgia. Georgia's an overwhelmingly Republican majority state. So we have Democrats in the Republican Party, we have independents, we have, if you want to be in an office and have power, you have to run in the Republican establishment. And so the movement has given them a great mushy middle that we have removed. It's black and white. You're either with us or we're against you. And it has led to one of the highest concentrations of pro-life activity in the nation. Now, that being said, I say all of this to the glory of God, because it was not our organization, our finances, our money and power that brought this about. When you have nothing, you have nothing. And that's what we had when we started. So I want to go over what we did that changed the whole fabric and dynamic. And this is what I want to challenge you with tonight here in New York. It doesn't matter what state you're in. If you're starting from scratch, what is amazing is to see how God moves miraculously to accomplish His purposes through your faithfulness. You know, I love Mother Teresa's quote, God has not called us to success. He's called us to faithfulness. Faithfulness, just standing after having done all, as the Apostle said, to stand. We have an educational program in Georgia. Now, here is the model, the Georgia model. It's made up of the same things most Right to Life states embrace. Most of the affiliates at National Right to Life embrace three things. Number one, education. Number two, education. Number three, education. Okay? Those are the three things. And then we add political action and legislation. But that's secondary. Everything we do is educational. How do you educate this culture, which is a neo-pagan culture? Let's just call it what it is. It's a neo-pagan culture. Just like pagan Germany, where the first three missionaries were killed, burned at the stake, some were eaten, and some some circumstances. But the fourth one came in, having stood where the others stood, and boldly and fearlessly proclaimed the same message in his time, and it worked. And it worked. And the culture was captured. Can we see this culture recaptured? There's a book out called Third Time Around by George Grant that I'd highly recommend that you get. Third Time Around, George Grant. And in it, he shows how in Western culture, from the beginning of the church age through now, there have been two moments in Western history that we've won. We have won lock, stock, and barrel, everything. All the laws, everything, were sanctity of life, human dignity, and so forth. Can we do it again? I think we can. I think it's a cyclical thing, and I think we've got more tools and a better ability to do so. The pillars of personhood is acknowledging that the cultural respect for the sanctity of life and human dignity is our objective. We are salt and light. We are salting the meat so that it doesn't rot. These pillars of understanding, what has the church taught through the years? What is the notion of personhood in Western history? How does it affect our laws, our understanding, our movements, civil rights movements, and so forth? What's the recent pro-life history? And here are the issues. Well, okay, here's the anti-abortion issue. Why is it not pro-life? It's because we're not pro-life. We're anti-abortion. Because if you ask most people, and this will sound like heresy in this room, I spoke to a group on Thursday in Orlando, 25 pro-life ministries from across the spectrum. We're not in this to save babies. Now, see, that sounds heretical. We are in this to establish the biblical doctrine of the sanctity of life in our day that affects the end-of-life issues, biomedicine and the emerging technologies, human dignity. We could go into some areas that we did